Hey guys and gals, today on the Nismo I'm going to be showing you the install for the upgraded reverse camera. From what I can tell or have looked at, the optics on it are like 4 times better. If you notice, they use a really old camera pixel quality and clarity for the Z, and our buddy within the group, Brian Watford, sent me out this kit to do an install video on it, and it's pretty much plug and play. It does require more power, so you do have to wire it to additional power source, but besides that, it looks to appear like the bracket and everything is all plug and play, so we'll get into it. All I've done so far is just remove all the trunk space. This is on a Nismo, but application should be the same across performance and sport. You'll want to lift up this rubber seal here and essentially get out all these panels. I believe these front ones here, these all just clip out. I believe they're just on clips. The rear ones are mainly on clips, but you'll see these little trunk holes here. You pop this top off, and then there is a screw or a bolt in those. And I believe there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of those to essentially get out all these inner panels. So I will go ahead and do that and then show you what it looks like. I am going to look, he has the ACC power running to the illuminated entry boards or entry steps. I'm going to see if there's any other ACC power in the trunk. I've got a tester. It may just be that we do that, which will require a little bit more removal, probably this foam here, and probably not removing all the way, but at least popping some panels loose to get up into that passenger side footwell. So we'll start with this. I'll get the camera in, get it plugged in, and then we'll work on the power from there. So these two side panels, one left, one passenger, one driver, these are all just clips, just your standard Nissan clips. I just used this separator pry tool. You get in there and you get a couple of them out. I think I started actually with the inside. So I got one here, and one here. Then I was able to get my hand underneath it and pop out those other 3 on the reverse side. Just be careful, pry them easy and you'll get them out. These are replaceable at any auto parts store. They're pretty standard, these on clip, so if you do break one, it's not the end of the day. They just slide out here and you put a new one in. This one's green, I'm not sure why. It appears to be the same, but if anyone knows, let me know in the comments. Maybe it's a little bit tighter, I don't know. But they appear to be the exact same. So pop those out. There is these little plastic or foam. Some of them will come off, like this one came off with it here. If not, just leave them on there. They'll be there when you pop everything back on. That one's still on there. And I'll go ahead and do this side, and I believe the center should be the same. All right, the center is the same. There are 4 of those clips and a guiding pin for the center. There are these little plastic pieces which I believe prevent it from rattling, but they are not attached to anything. So just go ahead and take those off, and then just remember to put these back on when you're done. They just go right outside of these little dimples here. All right, once those panels are removed here, there are 2 10s here that connect this center trim in where the camera is located. And within that, there's these 2 little green clips. They're the same clips again that are used for these panels. So you'll just want to get your tool in there on the side, pop them out. So 2 10s, and then these 2 little grommets that are in here. And then this will come out and should give us access to the camera. So actually on here, there's 9 of these clips total. So I did the front ones, the top 3 here, and then I used a little bit longer tool like this to get in there and pop these ones loose. Again, these ones aren't the end of the world if you break them, just because any auto parts store has them in stock, but I was able to get it off without damaging any of them. And then this guy here is the camera. You can feel it on the other side here or see it. The clip is just a push. So you just push from this backside here, and that will unclip that. And this is connected by Phillips. So I'll take those out. And then I believe the new one has a new bracket and everything. So no need to, I believe, keep any of these parts. Here we go. We got old camera at the bottom, new camera at the top. And yeah, that just sits right in there. You will keep the screws that came out to remount this one in. And that is a direct connection right there. And the smaller one here is, let me see if I can focus on that, is where we're going to set up our ACC power for the additional power needed for the camera. So there also is holes for these little guider pins here, and then the screws. I'm going to leave it off until I get it all set up so that I can make sure, because you can move it a little bit around to make sure that you center it where you need. I would say it would be nice, and I might see if I have some, to put a little foam around the outside just so it seals up that hole, because it does sit a little further back than the OEM one in there. So I'm going to see if I can cut like a little piece of foam just to the very outer edge and make it a little more tighter fitment in there. All right, so these little clips, like I said, there's 4 of them around there. I thought there was a nut underneath. That's how they are in the 300, but here it is just all clips. So once you pull that out, then you can pull on this and remove it directly from the hole, which should get you access to get all these panels out. Now this does have to be removed first, and then you can remove the plastic panel. So these ones here are upper clips. They look like this. And the best thing to do, there's 4 of them. One right about this dimple, one just to the right of this dimple, right of this dimple, and right of this dimple. Is just get your pry tool in there and pop them up. Just take your time. These ones are definitely a lot more beefier clips than those plastic ones, so they will take a little bit more arm strength. All right, so originally in the instructions, they had you running the ACC power because, again, the camera requires a little bit more juice than the OEM one. Kind of having to take off all these panels, run it underneath this panel, underneath to the floor light. I looked at the schematic. Actually, my neighbor is a professional car alarm installer, so he's got an application where he can look for wiring coloring schematics. And he actually helped me locate a 12-volt ACC in the trunk. So this may vary depending on whether you have a Nismo or a Performance. I'm not sure. I can only speak to the Nismo. I don't think it should make a difference, but this light tan wire right here is actually a 12-volt ACC. So you can essentially bypass having to run that extra power all the way up to the front. And so I'm going to tap into this tan one here. I've already tested it and it works. I tested it on the voltmeter as well. It works. So I've just got these 3M T-splices, and that's how I'm going to drop that in there, connect that to the positive, and run it. I would advise not using anything else. If you're going to use this method, use the 3M ones, the cheap Amazon ones and whatever. They do not last. I had my third brake wire put with one of those, and after a couple of months of everything bouncing around, it would short back and forth. So I got some nice 3M ones that my radio installer guy across the way recommended, and I've updated that one for the third brake light. So also one thing, he had you going through the trunk. There's this little access port right here. This is just a piece of rubber. You can peel that off, poke a hole in it, and then run your power inside the cabin without having to go through the lower grommets up through the bottom of the engine and then in whichever way. So the easiest path is where they bolt into the camera, back around here through this port. Again, just take this off, cut a little hole in it, notch it, and then it runs in through right here. And then I'm going to run it inside through here over to this hole, and then I'm going to drop it down into that 12-volt accessory. The other one, we've got some grounding right here. I'm probably just going to add it to that set of ground there, and that should do it. I'll shoot you a video when it's all in and what it looks like. All right, so I did test and it all works. So I linked in again to the tan down here. You do have to keep the fuse, or I would suggest keeping the fuse that comes with the kit. And then I just put the ground right there on the latch, all coming out of here, which then goes through the rear panel. Let's see if I can get a, sorry guys. Goes through the rear panel there, comes out here, runs back behind here, and then comes out this hole here, and all connects up. I would say now that I have shown you guys this job is probably no more than 30 minutes at this point. It took me some time to figure out schematics, and I really didn't want to have to run up through the window well and tap into something else when I knew there had to be some ACC power back here. I'm going to go ahead and put everything back together, clip everything down, and I'll show you guys what the final effect is. But I already turned it on and did a little sneak peek myself. It is night and day difference from OEM. They should have spent a little bit more money to put a nicer camera back here. But yeah, let me get it all hooked up and I'll show you guys when I'm done. All right, I thought I'd take one more video before I put the panel on. I've got the new reverse light put in there. I just have this last back panel and then these top panels to snap in. But just in case, wanted to show you one more time. So I tapped in, you pull out that little piece of rubber / leather, pull that off, put a little hole in it, route your power lines, your positive and your negative, through the inside here. And then I just did the negative to this bottom bolt here. It shouldn't impede anything within the plastics that snap on. And then between these two zip ties, that tan wire that I showed you earlier, that is an ACC plug. And then I connected the positive with the breaker there. And that's it. It's maybe a foot of wire to the power, and the camera's plug and play there. So that's all you need. All right, and final review. I put it in reverse. It is extremely much more clear. Sorry for the beeping, but yeah, it's got the lines and everything.